All right, good evening, everyone. It is Monday, May 22nd, 2023. It's the MMAOB Daily Podcast. I am your host, as always, here on Monday evenings. Adam Martin, joined my co-host here every Monday evening, Big Marcel. Marcel, how's it going, man? Glad to have you here. Talk about UFC Vegas 73, and we'll do a second podcast today after this, doing fight announcements and stuff. We'll do that for you guys, short one, but first hour is going to be about UFC Vegas 73. Marcel, how's it going, man?
Yeah, it's going well, man. I mean, fun weekend, good fights. Actually, I sold some stuff here at home. I made $100, so
what?
It was great.
Oh, okay, I get it.
Thank God.
Almost went over my head, but then I got it. You brought up the 100. Yeah, no, we'll talk about that too. We'll definitely talk about that. Yes. He joined us, Alex Behunin.
Nice,
as well.
nice.
I'm going to tweet it out, Alex. I'm going to tweet it out if you don't mind retweeting for your friends.
Yeah, for sure.
And everyone. How's it going, man?
I'm good, bro. I'm good. I was just sitting on the couch, about to play some Call of Duty, enjoy my week off, basically. But I'm actually happy that I'm joining you guys.
Absolutely. Okay, let me just retweet it, and then I'll add you to the tweet during the chat. All right. Well, so we're gonna recap UFC Vegas 73, Alex. We're glad to have you here, man. You covered the card, right? You were there, right?
Yeah.
Obviously,
yeah,
okay. And I saw you obviously did that chat with Temba Garimbo. We'll talk about that as well. But yeah, man, it's awesome. Here, I'll just retweet it, Alex. Glad you're able to make it, man. That's awesome. It was literally last minute, guys. I said we had like a small little chat, me, Marcel, and Alex, and then I sent Marcel the link to the podcast, and then realized Alex was in the chat. I was like, "Fuck it, you want to come in too? You're welcome to, man." So that's awesome, man. Alex, if you don't mind retweeting that, maybe some of your friends will come in, your fans.
Yeah.
Let's get some comments here. We got Glenn in the chat. What's up, Glenn? We got Antoine. How's your weekend? It was good, man. Good weekend. We got Knox here as well. It should be a good podcast. Alex, if maybe you could just quickly, I think everyone knows who you are, but just in case they don't, do you want to just quickly go over who you are?
Yeah, I'm Alex Behunin. My byline is for MMA Mania. I run their social media, and and that's on my Twitter is Alex Behunin, and that's it.
When did you start covering, man? Because I feel like you've really risen up the ranks really fast. Wait, 3 years maybe, a little bit longer. I'm not sure.
Yeah, it was basically 3 years, man. It was really during the pandemic where I was because I wanted to do movies and television, and that's what I was going to school for journalism in that way. And then I found out that Hollywood just full of fucking weirdos, and so I was like, I've been watching MMA since 2005. Why don't I do that? And I just kind of went full force, and boom.
Yeah, back to the weirdos in Vegas, but it's a much better place. You've been living there for a year now?
Yeah, man. It was a year. Last week it was a year in Vegas.
Wow. How is it, man? You like it there? You like living there?
I absolutely love it, bro. I'm kind of pissed off I didn't move sooner out of California.
I mean, it just makes so much sense for what you're doing, Alex. You're at every event pretty much. You're like a mainstay there now, so it's really good to have you there. Like I said, I'll be there in the summer. I'm going to see you in July, so I'll be there for UFC 290. Trying to get Marcel to come up.
Marcel needs to come out.
It's just I have so much work to do. I'm like, come on, man. You got to come chill with us, man. I'm going to be there. Alex, James, all these guys, man. Aaron's going to be there.
Alex asked me about it also already, man.
I didn't talk. I was like, you better bug him about it. Anyways, let's get into UFC Vegas 73, guys. We'll just go over the card. Alex, like I said, you were there. Talk about the main event. We'll work our way down. Mackenzie, Dern, man, phenomenal. Just a dominant performance, guys. I scored at 49-43. One of the judges had the same scorecard. The other two judges had 49-44. Very rare scorecards. You basically had 3 10-8 rounds on one of them, and then the other two had 2 10-8 rounds. Pretty dominant performance. Dern really took out her frustration from that divorce on Angela Hill, man, just getting into mount position, raining down blows. 13 minutes of control, guys, in this fight. Landed 126 significant strikes, scored a knockdown, had 3 takedowns. To me, by far her best, most complete performance in the UFC. Just incredible performance, man. I thought she looked amazing. Always been high in Dern, obviously. Again, if you look at the last couple losses she had to Jan and to Marina, very close fights, very, very close. Now she gets a dominant win. It really puts her back on the map here at 115. Calls out Rose after the fight. I'll start with you, Alex, since you were there. What do you think of her performance, man?
Yeah, it was tremendous, man. I was really happy that she let her hands go. She was, man, she was close to knocking Angela Hill out. It was crazy, and like she was basically out striking a striker. You know what I'm saying? Which is kind of wild. Still, her wrestling like that's the one thing she really needs to get down, man. Because I truly believe, man, if she had really good wrestling, not even like elite wrestling, just good enough wrestling to get girls down, she could be a champion. I truly believe that, man. She's dangerous on the ground. Obviously, she didn't submit Angela Hill, but like Angela Hill's tough, man. She is like she might not be the best UFC fighter, but she's tough and she's fought everybody, right? So it was just a really good performance.
Yeah, she looked amazing. Honestly, like the whole week, I was kind of leaning towards the sub, but in the back of my mind, I was like, man, Angela Hill is, like you said, very, very difficult to finish, very durable. She had 25 minutes and couldn't get her out of there. So you got to give credit to Angie Hill, and that's, remember, it takes two to tango, right? Like they wouldn't have won fight of the night if it wasn't for Angela Hill basically being impossible to submit and finish. So lots of credit to her. Well deserved 50K. I mean, this was a great fight. To be honest, Alex and Marcel, I think that Mackenzie had potential double bonus if she had that finish in like the fourth or fifth round. Like she could have had that rare double bonus like a Yuri Prohaska or a Justin Gaethje. Marcel, what did you think of her performance? Because I know we both picked her last week. What did you think of her, man?
Yeah, man, it was a great performance. You know, I mean, I think I only gave Angela Hill the second round, 10-9. I gave 3 10-8 rounds to Mackenzie Dern and 1 10-9 round, so basically the same as you. Yeah, she looked good, and I agree with Alex, man. The wrestling is still the thing, you know, to get her to the ground and that kind of stuff. She got it this time, you know. But the thing is, well, like she was like, how do you say that? She was wobbling. She got hit with such a hard shot. I think it was a knee, right, in the third or fourth round, and she punched her a little bit more, and I was like, if she punched her maybe 2-3 times more, it's over. But she went to the ground. She went for positioning and submission. She couldn't get her out of there. And Angela was super tough, man. I think people got to give her credit. You know, she has a negative record in the UFC, but she fights the best of the best, pretty much. You know, and she makes it competitive. She lost a lot of split decisions in the UFC as well, which was super close, and wish she had a little bit more luck. It should have gone her way, you know. For example, the Lamos fight, I think we talked about that last week. I think she won that fight, actually, and Lamos is now fighting for the title. So it's crazy, right? But yeah, great win by Dern, man. I mean, her most complete performance today, and I'd love to see what's next for her. I think she called out Rose Namajunas, makes sense, and if not, she can do maybe Jessica Andrade, makes sense as well. Those two, those are not booked. Carla's also not booked, but she's pregnant, I think. So yeah, makes sense.
Yeah, she called out Rose, like that was her first call out. I think that's a great fight, obviously, but you know, it's a tough fight too. I think based on how Jessica's looked lately, I feel like that's a more winnable fight right now. So I wouldn't be surprised if that's the fight they do. But honestly, man, I think her stock's an all-time high right now after this performance. Like she looked amazing, and she's right there when it comes to the top of the division. So she looked great. We'll get some other comments here, guys. Let's check it out here. We got our boy Marcus in the chat. What's up, Marcus? Thought there was value in Hill as an underdog when the fight was 3 rounds at Big Rock on Charlotte. When it moved to the small cage in Apex for 5 rounds, didn't like Hill as a dog. Yeah, exactly. That you always have to keep that in mind, man. Remember, it's like there is a, you know, if you look at like sport like baseball, every ballpark's different, right? And guys are always looking at like splits. They're always looking at like different the way people hit or pitch in different ballparks. You don't see it as much in this sport, but there is a small and big cage, and it's definitely something to keep in mind. Best Burns looked. She looked great. What's up, Fight Talk? How's it going, man? Thanks again for the artwork, my friend. Appreciate it. Do you guys think Angela Hill retires within the next year or two? I don't think so, man. I feel like she still has something left in the tank. Obviously, she lost this fight. She's like the gatekeeper, guys, to the top 10, basically. That's her job. And, you know, she's going to get a lot of fights. Like, they're going to call her up in a month or two and say, hey, can you fight this other tough girl? Like, and she'll say yes. She's that kind of fighter. I'll be honest, guys. When she first started in the UFC, I wasn't too high in her. And she got cut by the UFC. She went to Invictus. She worked her way back. And she's grown on me over the years, man. Like, she's very tough. She's a good fighter. So, you know, like you said, guys, like, negative 500 record, but like you got to look at the opposition. It's not like she's beating Jay Ellis every fight, right? Like if she was, then it's not like Nick Fiore with 2 wins over Jay Ellis and 6 wins. So she was, it should be perfect record. Was there any crowd at the Apex? I don't know. Was there anyone there? I didn't really hear much either.
I mean, it was one of the most. It was pretty dead. It was one of the least crowded Apex events, like you could tell it wasn't a very highly attended event.
Do you sit by the cage or do you sit in the back when you're there?
I sit by the cage.
Okay, cool.
I saw you when you were on screen. You were looking backwards, so I saw you.
I was talking to the UFC PR during a couple fights.
There you go. You got a fan here, Alex. There you go. You got one of your fans in here. Joe, what's up, man? How's it going? Glad to have you, my friend. What do you guys think about Dern and Andrade? I think it's a good fight. I actually feel like they'll do that fight instead, to be honest with you guys. Like, Andrade has not looked good lately. She's looked pretty bad, so I feel like this way more winnable for Dern. Like, Rose, I get it. She's coming off that fight. Was the Esparza fight her last fight? Wow,
yeah.
A year ago, eh? Terrible fight, right? But she's still one of the best fighters in the
you always feel that with Rose, right? When at a certain moment she completely disappears,
Yeah.
And then when she is back, she's on again. It's
remember,
like
she has
really
2 wins over the champ right now, guys. Like,
yeah,
she's a
definitely.
great fighter.
Yeah.
There's no doubt. That's a tough fight for Dern, but the Dern that fought on Saturday can beat a lot of the fighters in the division. We got Paul here. What's up, man? Says the 3 goats. I'll take it, man. But these guys are the goats here. What else we got here? A couple other comments, pretty much about Hill. All right. Question about T-Rex coming back. Listen, the second half of the show, Paul, we're going to talk about fight announcements and stuff. But yeah, I mean, I don't think that's as bad as Jared Gordon fighting again next week. He just got knocked out by Bobby Green. I know it was overturned, but he still got knocked out. So that to me is a little bit more controversial. All right, let's go to the next fight here, guys. Co-main event. Fluffy Hernandez just pretty much ragdolls Edmen Shahbazyan after that first round and gets a 3rd round TKO win. That's Fluffy's 4th win in a row. He's on a roll right now. He's looking great. Edmen gets another loss here. He's lost 4 of his last 5, including 3 by TKO. I'll start with you again, Alex, because I know you're pretty tight with Edmen, I guess it's fair to say. And I swear you were in the chat or in the Discord or something last week saying, like, guys, like, this guy's been training his ass off with his wrestling. He's going to look better. And I don't know if it worked, Alex. I don't know what's going on with this guy. Like, he is a really talented young fighter. He's only 25. Isn't that fucking crazy? He's 25. But I don't know what he can do differently. Like, it seems like anything he tries, any move he's making, like going to a new gym, going to a new city, it's just not working for him. I know he's fighting tough guys. I get it, but it's just hard to see him like really changing a lot. And I get it again. Like, he's fighting really tough guys. Like, Anthony Hernandez is really fucking tough. I know he's not ranked, but he's really good. What's next for Edmen, man? We'll talk about Anthony and Hernandez in a second. But Edmen's lost 4 of his last 5, guys. Alex, what do you think's next for this guy?
I think it was just a tough matchup, man. I think Anthony Hernandez is just fucking really good, and I don't know any middleweight that's really going to sign up to fight that guy. His gas tank is ridiculous. The thing about Edmen is first round he looked amazing. I was like, holy, like, but the thing about it, even that second round, like, he showed that his grappling is getting better than it was. I do know I can share this, that like those losses during 2020, he wasn't training because COVID had locked down California, and like he could barely train. So like, obviously that's not an excuse for how bad he looked, but like that kind of paints a picture, right? Paints a little better of a picture. I think it's going to take some time for him to, like, he's only been in Vegas for a year. He's been training at Extreme Couture for less than a year. He looks really good in the gym. I think it's just going to take time for him to really get in there and get rounds and rounds. It was just a fucking tough matchup, to be honest, man. That's just what it came down to. I think, and plus, like you said, he's 25 years old, man. Like,
wild, right?
It is, and I think he can get much better. It's just going to take time, and obviously you can't buy time. Like, that's just one thing you can't buy. So I'm not giving up on Edmen.
Fair enough. I'm just looking at the roster. There's still guys he could beat. It's not like he's not UFC caliber, right? I just don't know if he's top 15 right now. Yeah. But like, if the UFC wants to build his confidence back up, I'm looking at the roster guys like Jamie Pickett, Dustin Stoltz, who's like guys at the bottom of the end of the division. Those are the kind of guys that he could beat right now. But that's what they just did with him with the Dalcha fight. They gave him a guy that was on the way out of the UFC, and he won the fight and looked great. And then he comes back, and once again, you see the issue with the cardio. It's just, that's the biggest issue. He's almost a one-round fighter, and you're right. There was some improvement with the grappling a little bit defensively, but still gets finished. For Fluffy, though, guys, Marcel, I'll start with you. What's next for him? Like, he's looked amazing. 4 straight wins. No. And, hold on one sec. They're giving guys like Ikram, and they're giving, like...
I just wanted to say that.
Yeah, I was gonna say, what's the other guys?
Not so much with Derek Brunson.
Yeah,
you know?
they're giving a boost, like, top 10 guys. This guy's got more wins. He's looking even better than these guys, more complete. And those guys look great, don't get me wrong, but this guy's done it for 4 straight fights. I think a top 10 fight's in order, right? Like you're saying, Brunson, someone like that, someone kind of on the way out. You're thinking, Marcel,
like a veteran guy, who is like has not a lot of upside anymore in the
what
UFC.
about Jack Hermanson? You like that fight if they could do that one?
Yeah, definitely.
That
But Jack is injured, right? Because he was supposed to fight in 2 weeks against Brandon Allen. So I don't know what's the time frame for his comeback. But I like that fight as well. I think you can go many ways with Hernandez. It depends on what the UFC wants. Does the UFC believe in him? If they do, I can match him up with Brunson or Hermanson, But if they are like still on the fence with him, I don't know what they're gonna do, man. But I mean, he won 4 in a row. He looked good in those fights, and definitely now against Edmen. First round was kind of competitive, I think Edmen did well in the first part of the first round, and later Hernandez took over.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to see him getting challenged against somebody in the top 15, man. I think it would be really cool, and I think he's a talented guy, so I want to see it, and I think the time is right. Like they always say, the time is now. So yeah,
he deserves it. That first minute, I think Edmen did hurt him a little bit, and that's that. I was thinking back to that Kevin Holland fight. I'm like, oh shit, like he could be in trouble here, but ends up, like you said, taking over late. Like, and that's really his calling card, right? His cardio, his conditioning, his pace. Like, there aren't many fighters in this division, guys, that can push the kind of pace that this guy's pushing. So he's one heck of a talent, I think, and 29 years old, so he's right in his prime right now. And if they don't give him a top 15 guy, they're making a massive mistake. I mean, this guy just destroyed Edmen, destroyed Marc-Andre Barry, who's getting a main card spot in his next fight. Like, all these fights, he's just beating guys badly. So I think really the way to beat him, Marcel, is to beat him in the first round. And other than that, you're screwed against this guy.
Imagine being your nickname Fluffy and having great cardio,
Maybe someone like Roman Dolidze.
That's a good fight. I thought Roman even beat Vettori in his last fight, guys.
Yeah.
So, to me, he's top, he's a top 15 guy. Someone like that. Definitely someone in the top 15, though, right? Like, at this point, what are we doing if we don't give him someone ranked in the top 15? And they're always saying, like, looking for new contenders. So this guy could be one of them. All right, we got some comments.
We got to give Alex some credit here for the questioning he did today now about those top 15 fights with Sean Strickland.
Yeah, actually, you know what? That's a good segue, actually. I gave him props in the Discord.
Yeah.
Dude, you're like the only guy that's actually pushed back on Dana with the stupid matchmaking. Because let's be honest, it is kind of stupid. Like you said, Costa's right there with Strickland. Like, that fight made way more sense. They're both ranked beside each other in the rankings. And then you have 2 unranked guys. I get it. They want to build these guys up, but they only have 1 fight in the UFC each, right? It doesn't really make sense. They're skipping the line. Go ahead, Alex. Go ahead.
Yeah, but 1,000%. It's like, all right, if you want new blood in the division, like, have them fight Roman Dolidze, who's like, like a little bit. I just feel like Sean and Paulo are like way above those guys. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're coming off wins. They're main eventing. Like, it was just a weird thing. Dana's explanation was like, I get it. Like, and that's everyone's been saying, like, they want new blood in the division. Like, all right, yeah, I get it, but like, I feel like those guys could have got another fight or maybe even fought a little bit lower in the rankings. It was just kind of weird. Like, I don't know. It's like, and I get what they're doing. Obviously, I'm not dumb. I know what the UFC are doing, but like, and they could be like setting up Ikram to rematch Chimaev in Abu Dhabi. You know what I'm saying? Like, if he beats Costa, you know what I'm saying? Like, that could be what they're doing, but like, I don't know. It's just weird.
It's weird. I mean, Costa hasn't fought in a year, and then this is the guy he fights. Like, everyone thought he's going to fight Hamzat. They don't do that fight. That fight made sense. Now he fights the guy who's unranked. I get it. Ikram's fucking good. We all know that. But like, it's just weird how everyone's all of a sudden agreeing that this fight makes sense. I don't agree with it. Like, that it makes sense. Like, is it an interesting fight? Yeah. And this guy can win, and you have a new contender. But like, it's just unearned, right? I kind of feel like these guys have to work their way up. Like, you could have a guy like Kyle Bahario, and I get it. He hasn't been finishing guys except in his last fight, but he's been very vocal. Like, what the fuck do I have to do basically to get a top 15 guy when these guys get 1 fight? And like, Abus beat Dustin. James Lynch, our friend, has a great video on this where, he makes some great points. Like, he beats Dustin Stoltzfus, who's like not really UFC caliber, and then he gets a top 5 ranked opponent. Kind of doesn't make sense.
They both beat guys that have a losing record in the UFC and only have 1 fight in the promotion. Like, that warrants a top 7 matchup, does it? Like,
no, not at all.
You know what's even worse? They cannot match up Ahmed Sarukian with one of these guys in the top 15 as well. I mean, he has to fight Joaquin Silva. Listen, man, I like Joaquin Silva, but that shouldn't have been a matchup for Ahmed Sarukian. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And you know, I know Strickland was like saying like, "Oh, the UFC matchmakers told me if you don't take this fight, you're gonna have to probably sit out another 6 months or something, unless you go to 205 again." I don't know, man. That seems kind of weird. It's almost like
If that's true,
like
that's bullshit because he helped them out in the beginning of the year with the Imavov fight.
Yeah, we took it on short notice with like no camp, where he was like, I think he said he was like snowboarding, right? And then he took that fight and still looked great. So I don't know. Strickland's a good fighter, man. I mean, people obviously rag on him for his, his controversial takes on social media. He's got a lot of them, but he's a good fighter. You gonna say something else? Sorry.
No, I was just saying I feel like they're like the UFC's laying their hand and forcing Strickland and Costa to take these fight. Why aren't they forcing the top lightweight people to fight Arman Sarukian?
Yeah,
like
exactly.
It's the same thing.
Yeah.
Like Sarukian, Sarukian could be a title challenger or a champion. You know what I'm saying? Like force the division to fight this guy.
Let's be honest, they're doing some weird shit, man. They're doing like they want to have Izzy on that Sydney card in September, but they're having Robert against Dricus in July. They don't know what happens. Imagine Robert wins that fight and he injures his hand. He can't fight Adesanya. Yep. Then they do. Then they announce Aljo against O'Malley. Well, Aljo still needs to have his X-ray back. Now it's back and it's okay and he's fighting. But okay, they make Zhang Weili against Amanda Lemos when there is a clear path for Zhang Weili against Yan Xiaonan. And they also fumbled the back already with the Mexican card, which probably maybe happens a fight night later this year, but they could have done a big pay-per-view there. I mean, they're fumbling the back with a lot of things, man. I don't know. And Dana keeps saying like, yeah, that's something that got away. But it's like the fourth or fifth thing that got away this year. I mean,
they're fumbling the bag of the matching, but it's not affecting their record profits. I don't know if you guys saw that.
Okay, that's
the Bloody Elbow release. They are killing it right now, and I don't know if you guys saw that. The UFC is making record money. There's a lot of comments here, guys, which is awesome. You think it's going to be Izzy and Chimaev? Eh? I mean, Jason, that's the only fight that would make sense because they can't assume that the winner of Whitaker and Dracus is going to be uninjured. Like they just can't. Like you can't assume, like you said, Marcel. Robert Whitaker might knock him out, but break his hand by knocking him out, right? Like I don't know. It's very bizarre. They would book that fight so soon after that card in Sydney when this fight's happening 9 weeks ahead of it, right?
I think they do Izzy versus Jamal Hill before they do Izzy versus Hamzat.
Yeah, maybe it could be right because I know they're waiting for obviously Yuri. That's what they're saying, but
and that's also a thing, fight, you know. Dana is shitting on Aljo while Aljo has defended his belt and now he has to defend his belt in August again, you know. I mean, I have nothing against Jamal Hill, but January is his last title defense. He hasn't come back since then. Who else do we have in the division? We have at heavyweight right now. Let me John Jones. He fought in March. Okay. Doesn't hear anything about John Jones not fighting in July, you know. But Aljo got shit on because he actually didn't want to fight in August. I mean, there are double standards, you know what I mean? So yeah.
Someone's asking about Nagano. We'll talk about that after. I want to get through the card a little bit first, and then we'll take some other.
Let me comment on Juani there. Hill is waiting for Yuri. Why should he wait for Yuri? You know, Yuri can be out still till December, for example. You know, Hill should fight Ankalaev, in my opinion.
I agree with you. Like, why did he give up his belt if he's just going to be the next guy in line? It makes
it's so right. Why should he give up his belt then?
Exactly. I know he's like I said, I've talked about this. Like he's like the Bushido guy, and he's all about like the honor and everything. Same with Horiguchi over in Rising or Bellator. He did the same thing right with his belt, but I don't know, man. It's kind of weird that the guy would give up his belt and then be the next guy in line. Still, it's kind of strange. Like that's why he gave up his belt so the division can kind of move on. Like while he's injured, right? Anyways, this guy. Go back to the card. We'll go through it a little bit and we'll take some other off-topic questions. Third fight here. Lupi Godinez defeats Emily Ducote. I mean, she looked pretty good. Her striking looked better. I thought that the fight would take place in the few because I assumed she wouldn't wrestle. Her striking looked better than I thought, so I'll give her credit here. Ducote, I don't know, man. I mean, had a great debut, and then since then, really eating a lot of strikes. Look at her stat. I'm looking at her stats. So it's only 3 fights. Okay, so it's not a huge sample size, but it is 3 15-minute fights. So Ducote's she's landing 6.5 significant strikes a minute. That's really high. But guys, she's eating 8.5 significant strikes a minute. That's insanely high. That's like one of the highest rates. So terrible striking defense, and you know Lupi gets the win here. 5-3 record now in the UFC for Lupi. Any quick thoughts on this fight? It wasn't that eventful a fight, but anything you guys want to say?
It was one of those fights where I was turned around.
I'm never gonna watch this fight again. Literally, I'll never watch this one. Like, if I do my tape study, I know what happened. I don't need to watch it again.
Just like, why have this on the main card when you have
Natalia Silva? Like, why the fuck was she again? I talked about this.
Dana never heard about her. So.
Dana didn't even. Okay, well, she actually got the bonus in her last fight, so I think he knows who she is. I would assume, but like, why was she buried in the prelims again? And then, Dana comes late to the Apex and doesn't see her fight, and then gives out the bonuses. We'll see all the fights. That seems really unfair. I don't know you guys. That just seems like weird that he'd be giving out the bonuses out but not seeing the fights. He would just hear what someone else says. I don't know. All right,
I want to ask some guys something about the bonuses, right?
Sure.
Listen, I had no problem with Dern Hill being the fight of the night.
Yeah.
But Hill lost 3 10-8 rounds and got a bonus, and Natalia Silva and Joaquin Buckley both deserved a bonus, in my opinion, didn't got a bonus. And maybe Urbina as well, so.
I agree, Marcel. Do you guys think, we'll talk about Buckley right now, obviously landed that great kick on Fialho, who, Andre Fialho's 2-4 now in the UFC, guys, with 3 straight knockout losses. Like, he might get another fight because he's kind of exciting, but like, he might get cut too. But as far as Buckley goes, like, I mean, I picked him in this fight. I thought he'd knock him out, and that's what he did. Do you guys feel like he got punished because of like what happened after the fight? Do you guys think that's what I think, right? Because like who lands a fucking head kick knockout and doesn't get 50K? Like every head kick knockout ever pretty much gives you 50K automatically. And then obviously he threw the prime, I think, was on himself. Alex, were they cleaning up the octagon or something for like 10? Yeah. Is that true?
Yeah. No, they were cleaning up, and it forced Cody versus Loopy to like get delayed for like another 5-10 minutes. So like,
sorry, Dana did say he gave him something on the side, but he didn't get the full 50K. But either way, I mean, Buckley looked great.
They didn't give him 50 because he needed the cleaning costs. They all of that.
Basically.
What's next for Buckley? Oh, go ahead.
And he also said the N-word live on television.
He did say that, and I briefly tweeted that, and then I deleted the tweet because I just don't want to. I didn't want to start any controversy. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
I understand.
I get it. Like that's it's a word of his culture, but like I doubt Dana and even like ESPN were happy with that. That's all I'm going to say. You know what I mean?
He immediately said, "I'm sorry." So.
Exactly. I feel like it was more the 10-minute delay that they were upset about personally because we know that the show must go on, right? They can't just have guys waiting around dumping stuff in the octagon. Anyway, he apologized.
They never do commercials in between fights. It's so rare for them.
What's next for Buckley, guys? I mean, he's obviously a very exciting fighter. What are you guys thinking for him next? Like I'm thinking like a striker, like or someone like it's pretty good, like an Alex Morono, maybe like a Li Jingliang. I don't know. What do you guys think?
Jeremiah Wells, man.
Jeremiah Wells, yeah, that's a good fight too. But I also feel like Jeremiah deserves a top 15 too, right? So
Brian Battle.
Again, a good fight, but I kind of feel like they should be on separate paths. Not to say that it's a bad fight.
Chaos Williams, Alex Morono.
Chaos is a good one too. Oh, wait, no, not Chaos because they train together. That's what they said.
Matt Semmelsberger.
Semmelsberger's a good fight too. That would be a fun one. Someone like that, right? Like a striker, basically. I don't think you'll get a top 15 guy, but probably someone like just hovering outside the top 15.
Maybe like a Santiago Ponzinibbio.
That would be a good fight too. Actually, that'd be a great fight. Or a Muslim Salikov, someone like that, right? Like a striker. So even like
John Fitch.
There's a lot of fights for this guy. I mean, he's an exciting guy. I mean, when Buckley fights guys, he either knocks you out or he gets knocked out. Like someone said, Matt Brown. Yeah, I mean that's a great fucking fight, right? Like that's a great fight. I'd love to see that fight. Jake Matthews, I kind of feel like Jake, he lost his last fight, right?
Against Semmelsberger.
Yeah, his stock's a little down now, right? So, he's fighting. Oh, yeah, he's supposed to fight Gabe Green. That fight didn't happen. Okay.
Andre Fialho made Jake Matthews look like fucking.
Jake Matthews, my friend, I remember talking about that fight after my friend that's like in real life, and he was like, dude, Jake Matthews 2.0 just kicked ass. I'm like, who is this guy? And then he gets like destroyed in his next fight by Semmelsberger. Like, freaking guy, man. That was crazy. I didn't pick his fights well there. All right, next fight here, Diego Ferreira. Oh, God. Holy fuck. Like, what a knockout, eh? So, we both picked Michael Johnson in the podcast. Alex, I don't know. Did you pick Johnson too? You did too, right? Or no?
I didn't pick Johnson.
You didn't? Oh, you didn't, Marcel. My bad. Sorry. I apologize. Okay. I picked him. And he was looking good, man. It was kind of like the Josh Emmett fight, guys. Like, he's looking 100%. Good. Kickboxing him, staying in range, and then bang. Crazy knockout.
Out of nowhere. Man.
Just a crazy knockout. And Freya, it's not really a guy that's shown a huge amount of knockout power in his career. He does have a few knockouts, but he's more of a grappler, I would say. man, what a knockout. And he really needed this too, because if he had lost, he probably would have been released. Instead, he wins. He gets a bonus. Dana loves him again. Man, he looked great. His hair looked great. I don't know if you saw his son's hair. His son's hair is his kid's like a year old. He's got this like huge fro, man. It's crazy. Dude, I'm happy with this guy because I really like Diego Ferreira. I've always liked him, Marcel. He's a good fighter. He had a tough run lately. I didn't trust him here. I was off the wagon, but man, what a knockout. Marcel, you want to start with this one? What'd you think?
Yeah. I mean, Johnson looked good, dude, until he got knocked out pretty much. You know, I was really like, he had a good distance management, I think. He was picking his shots. He looked good, and Ferreira looked kind of off in the first round, in my opinion. And I was like, yeah, Johnson might win this if it keeps going this way. And then out of nowhere, Ferreira launches that shot, knocks him out stiff, got another shot in between, and immediately was apologizing for that. And it looked like he was actually sad because he threw that second punch before. And that was, great knockout, man. What can you say? And I immediately tweeted like shades of Josh Emmett, Michael Johnson, because it really remembered me of that one. That was like also stiff as a board, man, Michael Johnson there. And yeah, man, good for Ferreira, man. After 3 losses in a row, he fought some tough guys, you know. I'm happy he's back on track, but for Johnson, it's bad, you know. Johnson looked really good in this last couple of fights. I actually think he got robbed against Malarkey, in my opinion. I think he actually won that fight. So it should have been on a 3-fight winning streak, in my opinion. And yeah, man, this is pretty hard, I think. A pretty bad loss for him. Although he looked good until he got stopped. So, but yeah, good for Ferreira, man. I'm happy for the dude. I always liked him. Yeah, we'll see what's next. Good win for him, man. A nasty knockout. Definitely a contender for knockout of the year and top 10, top 15, I think.
Yeah. Any thoughts, Alex? Go ahead.
No. I had picked Michael Johnson up until last week when then I like really thought about it. I was like, dude, like CDF has lost to just killers. Like his 3 losses were to killers.
Yeah.
I don't know what I'm thinking. And then I picked him. But let me tell you, after that knockout, there was a eerie vibe in the Apex, man. Like it was like everyone was just like, oh my God, because Michael Johnson was down for quite a bit, man, and he didn't know where he was. He had to have like 5 staff members carry him out of the octagon. Like it was a really bad knockout. And then just for Diego Ferreira, like it was a really heartwarming moment for like him, like just his family there, everything he's gone through, his injuries, everyone counting him out. Like it was just he needed that win, and man, I guess he brought out his frustrations on Michael Johnson because that was a brutal knockout.
He saved his career like in the UFC because if he lost, guys, even though like you said, like the competition was stiff, he probably would have been released. Like it's not often the guy with 4 straight losses keeps his spot on the roster.
At least on 10% probably. So
yeah. I've told this story in the podcast, but a few years ago I went to UFC 237 in Brazil, and they had us in the hotel with the fighters, and the room next to me was Francisco Trinaldo, and he was fighting Diego Ferreira, and the fight got canceled, I think, on the weigh-in day because I think Ferreira got sick. He's dealt with so many injuries and like illnesses and stuff. Like if he can stay healthy, he's a good fighter, but he is 38, so I don't know how much time he's got left really, but man, what a knockout. Good for him, man. Well deserved. A couple other comments here. We got Blakey saying, which division has the fighter with the most well-rounded? Which division has the most well-rounded fighters? I think it's probably bantamweight right now, right? Like I would say, I think.
Bantam and light, yeah.
Bantam and lightweight, yeah, I agree. Not light heavyweight. Those two. Light heavyweight sucks. CDF and Frivola, sure. I mean, I'm down for that. Matt Frivola's looked outstanding lately. Bray and Guram versus the Guram, Jamie Winter, and Moises. Sure. I mean, any of those fights make sense. He looked really good. He looked pretty good, but the knockout was exceptional. So, yeah. Mackenzie Dern beats Rose. Will she fight next for the title, considering Rose 2 wins over Whaley? I think if Dern beats Rose, she's getting a title shot for sure.
Dern is super marketable as well, I think.
Oh, obvious. Especially now that she's divorced, Dern, man. Like, this is the new mythical beast, guys. Like, this is like C-level Kane and motivated BJ, and like she's right up that list now, man. She looked fucking amazing. Like, that Wesley Santos guy, man. Like, I think he's missed out on something here, man. That's what I'm gonna say. I really like Mackenzie Dern, guys. Like she's a knockout more than one way. I'll say that. CDF and Benoit Sandini after he beats Pichel. Sure, I guess they could do that. Go to the next fight here, guys. And again, after we go through the fights, we'll take some questions about off-topic stuff like the Francis thing. Slava Borshev, amazing performance. Marcel, I didn't expect this. I'll be honest. Like I thought it'd be a very competitive fight. It wasn't. Pretty much one-sided. Mashati gets knocked out. And wow, it's crazy, man. Like this guy, I thought he looked so good in his debut last year, and then since then just getting dominated. But Borshev, he really needed this win. Obviously, bounces back after the 2 losses. Again, if he had lost, he might have been cut, but he saves his career and gets another bonus. We'll start with you, Alex. Man, what do you think of Slava Klaus? Looked amazing.
Dude, he was throwing so fucking hard, dude. It was like I had to go back and watch some of the Slavas. I don't know if he was throwing that hard in his previous. Dude, he was slinging leather. Yeah, it was a must win for Slava. I'm surprised Mahashate didn't shoot on him at all.
Me too. He shot like once, and it was a really good sprawl. But like I thought he pursued the wrestling more personally. Sorry, Alex, go ahead.
No, 1000%. I mean, like that was the clear cut like way to beat this guy as wrestling him. Yep. And he chose to strike with him, and he met his demise, man. Slava got transported, so he didn't do any media. And then I guess on Instagram today he showed his eye. It was pretty.
Oh yeah, we talk about that eye poke. Yeah. They didn't. Do you think in a case like that where there's a clear injury, even though it's accidental, do you think they should take a point because his eye was like bleeding and stuff? Like, what do you guys think?
Go ahead,
Alex. I think I've said this for the last few years. I think any nut shot, any eye poke, grab a fence is an automatic point deduction. Do it every single time, and fighters will stop doing it. Like that's the only way to fix it.
I don't think you're like necessarily wrong. And again, like everyone's like, oh, they deserve a warning. Well, they've been warned in the back, and everyone knows the rule book too. Like we all go in there knowing if you don't know the rules, you shouldn't be fighting. Like I'll say that. Yeah, go ahead, Marcel.
The thing is, like, it depends, of course, if the eye poke is actually with the finger. You know, I mean, if it's like glazing something or what, because they're not. But this was with the finger. You know, so I with that definitely. If you're like, if it gets somebody injured or whatever, it comprehends somebody, you know, 100% take a point, you know.
Because the guy got injured, like he was compromised. His eye was like, if he had lost the fight, we'd having a different discussion about this. But he somehow won the fight. He looked great. That'd be a good fight. Uros Medic and Slava, sure. I mean, any of those fights, any striker. I just don't give him. Honestly, don't give him wrestlers. Just give him strikers. Like, just give him fun fights. We don't need to see him get held down for 50 minutes again. Just
the thing is,
let him stand and bang, man.
The thing is, like, they had got to give him them pure strikers because everybody with a tiny bit of wrestling is going to wrestle him.
Yeah,
because that's the blueprint to beat him, pretty much. You know.
Again, his sprawl looked great in that one shot, man. It looked fast. He's clearly been working on it, but Mahashate, they after that didn't stop pursuing it, and like you said, met his demise. Karolina Kovacevic, outstanding performance. 3 straight wins for Karolina, man, at age 37. Like, just looking great. Beats Vanessa Demopoulos. Again, I thought this would be a much more competitive fight. And I thought that Vanessa would pursue wrestling much more. It's my mistake, though, thinking back on it, because she went to that new camp, which is a striking-based camp, Factory X. I think that she missed her own camp, man. Which camp was she at? She was at that one in Arizona with that guy, Fight Ready. Yeah, all those guys left, right? Like, or girls in this case. She's Iridium, right? I think.
Yeah.
Any Iridium fighter at Fight Ready had to leave.
What happened? Do you know what happened? Like,
do
can
you
you talk about this, or do you guys know what happened?
It was something that had to do with, the coach of Fight Ready got pissed off at Iridium for like bringing Brandon or bringing somebody over to that camp, and they just got pissed off and said, if you're with Iridium, you either leave that management or leave the gym. And
Brandon Moreno or
no, so I believe it was either Brandon Moreno or somebody. They had brought Brandon to that camp. I'm just using Brandon, but it was a fighter to that camp, and the coach got pissed off because of Henry. I think it was Henry and Brandon don't like each other, so it was just like a petty thing, and so he told any Iridium Fight Ready fighter, leave that management or leave the team. So they had to pick.
Trying to fuck up.
Well, I'll tell you, talking about camp switches, I mean, Karolina going to American Top Teams just really changed their whole career, right? And actually, you were the guy, Alex. This guy, Dana's like, why the fuck did you ask her that question? It was a good question. That was so funny. That was hilarious. That was gold. We'll talk about that presser. I can't wait to talk about the presser, guys. There's a lot to talk about that. But, I mean, like you said, like, you're right, though. Like, it's just like, it's in life. And there's so many decisions in life that you can make, like who you marry, what school you go to, what job you take, right? And in this case, what camp you go to can make or break your career, because clearly we already knew American Top Team was like a grade A gym. It is probably the best gym in the sport. great move for her. Training with people her size, women her size, amazing move for her. And won 3 straight fights. She looked great. A couple other fights here. Sorry, someone else want to say something?
No. It's nice to see her get on this win streak just because of just how much people were talking shit about her. She was about to retire.
Yeah.
And then just one comment on Vanessa. I haven't been sold on her for some reason. I'm just not sold on her for whatever reason.
Go ahead, Marcel. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, Carolina is also cool. She made friends now with Joanna, right? They didn't like each other before in the American Top Team along with each other, so that's good as well.
Yep.
And yeah, man, I mean, I think we both picked Vanessa to win the fight, actually, but I mean, I was happy for Carolina also that Vanessa didn't make weight. I also like to see the girl who make weight actually win the fight. Right. And for Carolina, it's like her career is like a second chance in her career, right? She was 5-0-5, then comes back, wins 3 in a row now, and now she's close to the top 15 probably again. So let's see how far she can come, man. I hope for her she can come far. I always liked her, man. So
truthfully, man, after she got washed by Jessica Penney a couple years ago, I'm like, oh, she's done. She's completely done. I think everyone thought that. Now again, 3 straight wins. So I've always liked Carolina, man. Again, very marketable. We'll say that, guys. That's our word here. Very marketable. She's a very tough girl too. Very, very, very difficult to finish. She's good. How long do you think Marcel loses one more? Do you think he'll get cut? Probably. And Marcel has lost 2 straight fights. I think he's on a 4-fight contract. Most guys sign that, right? So he's gonna have to win his last one probably. Carolina's looking good, Joe. No doubt about it. All right, a couple other fights here on the prelims. Gilbert Urbina looked outstanding, guys, against Orion Cossie, who missed weight as well. Looked. Alex, you were at the weigh-ins, right? Like, is that one of the worst you've seen, Orion?
It was bad, man. It was bad. He was like hyperventilating, breathing really bad, man. Like it was really bad. And it's funny enough, like I thought Orion was gonna run through Gilbert Urbina just because I just didn't think Gilbert was UFC caliber.
Yeah.
Boy, was I fucking wrong, bro. He fucking ran through.
Hey, Alex, did you go back and smoke some gelato with him? Were you one of the guys that went back? Or you can't say it, right? You want to lose your job here. I'm just kidding. No, he looked great, man. I think he's the first Urbina brother to win in the UFC, right? So,
second.
Oh, he's the second? Who's the other one?
Hector won as well.
One at Latin America, right? Top Latin America. Yeah. But he's the best of the 3 brothers. There's no doubt. He looked good in this weight class. Man, like, again, layoffs are always something kind of tricky because this guy's been off for 2 years, but usually I tend to fade it, right? But in this case, I mean, the guy's clearly been training his fucking ass off for 2 years, and he looks much better. It's funny, though. I was going to say, him and Battle, right? Didn't they both fight at middleweight in the show? Now they're both at welterweight. Like, what was the point of that show at middleweight? I guess because they fight so often. A couple other fights here. This one can go quick. Rodrigo Nascimento defeats Ilir Latifi split decision.
I was right.
I
was right.
You said split, didn't you?
No, I said bathroom break. I was right.
Yeah, you said it was the shit break, right? Yeah, this fight was very boring. But really no surprise. Like the way honestly, Ilir Latifi's fights are kind of boring in general. Like a lot of his fights, right? Unless he's getting knocked out or knocking someone out. This fight was not great. I think the judges got it right. I actually agree with their scorecards. I had 1-3 for Yogi Bear, who is now 4-1 in the UFC. But his last 2 wins are by split decision, guys. So I don't know like how good he really is. I don't know. What do you guys think? Alex, let's start with you on this one.
I'm sorry, bro. I don't give a fuck.
It was the worst fight in the card, I think, right?
It was so bad. It was so bad. Yeah.
It was terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Surprised that it wasn't on the main card, right? The UFC
I'm surprised they put this on the prelims instead of Lupi and Emily Ducote. It was like that awful heavyweight fight in the main card. I think we skipped this one. Do you guys think Latifi gets cut, or do you think he gets another one?
He gets another one.
You think? He's not very exciting, man. I don't know. What do you think, Alex?
Alex don't care.
He doesn't care, but what do you think about he does care about the roster. I know you care about the roster, man.
Yeah, no. They'll either give him another one. No, you know what? They'll either cut him or he'll retire.
He's 40, right? So I could see that as well. Let's go to the next one here. Our boy Chase. Okay, so you had a question for us too. We'll answer it now. But you picked Chase with me, right, Marcel, last week?
No, I picked Fury. Actually.
Okay, so I picked Chase. I picked a bunch of underdogs. It's the only one I hit on. It was kind of a weird week. I thought a lot more dogs were going to win, and this was the only underdog that ended up winning. He looked amazing. Like this was Chase Hooper 2.0, guys. Like he looked great. his striking looked so improved. Like the combinations he was throwing, the elbows he was throwing were so unorthodox and awkward, and it was landing. And I'm really surprised Nick Fury was able to even survive that first round. If that round was even like 3 seconds longer, the ref would have stopped the fight. I think one of the judges gave it 10-8 in the first round. I thought Chase looked outstanding. Landed 149 significant strikes in the fight. Wow. And Alex, his question is, do you guys want to see him fight Paddy Pimblett? I mean, it'd be an interesting fight. It would be an interesting fight. I don't think he'd do it, but
who wins? Just who wins?
Oh, who wins? Oh man. I thought he looked improved, but I guess I'd still go with Paddy. But I don't know. What do you guys think?
Don't put this evil on me. I want to say Hooper, but I know Hooper is not winning that, so don't put this evil on me.
Yeah.
I mean, probably Paddy, but I mean, look, I'll say this, man. Hooper has been cutting a lot of weight at featherweight, bro. Like he said, he was walking around at 185. Dude, like that's fucking insane. And I knew for the last 3 fights, like he was cutting a lot of weight, and I honestly think that was affecting his performance. Yes, he's not technically obviously the best fighter. Yes, he has a lot to work on, but like there's no doubt that big weight cut was affecting him.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, especially the last one with Steve Garcia got dropped and knocked out. We're gonna say Marcel.
I gotta be honest here, man. I mean, Chase Hooper definitely looked improved, but Nick Fury made him look like the second coming. You know what I mean?
Like Anderson Silva in there.
Yeah, it was crazy. You know, man. Nick Fury kind of reminded me of like a lighter weight class Phil Anselmo, but then less aggressive. You know what I mean? It's like, I mean, Nick Fury. I don't dislike the guy at all. But he showed in that fight that he isn't UFC caliber yet. He's just not there. And I'm surprised. You know, he got 2 wins over Jay Ellis, so you would think he would be. But no, I'm just kidding. But it was like Hooper looked so good that it was like really weird to see how good he looked with the stand up. You know, and I think against almost anybody else, it might be not as good, but he definitely looked improved, and I was happy for Hooper that he looked improved, looked much better at 155 as well. You know, I mean, it's horrible, you know, if you have to cut down to 145 and you have like the body frame of Chase Hooper. You know, I think 155 way better for him, and I hope he can improve even more there. You know?
I mean, is this another Jake Matthews versus Andre Fialho kind of fight where like Nick Fury made Chase Hooper look like the next like big thing?
Yeah. It could be. You know what's crazy? He's 6'1". He's like pretty tall, man. Like that's a lot of weight to cut, like you said. Like again, he's only 23. So he's still growing in his frame. I mean, this guy eventually might even like at the end of his career might even be fighting at 170. Who knows? But yeah, he looked really good in this fight. By the way, I as far as Fiore goes, you know what, man? Like, listen, very tough dude, and credit to him for taking these fights on. I think he took his debut on short notice, right, against Robeski, but it might be best for his career if he just gets released and then works his way back up, because like he's just getting destroyed at the UFC level right now, you know. So, all right, Marcel,
yeah,
go ahead. Your girl, man, Natalia just destroyed Victoria Leonardo. Her teeth were all fucked up, like her lip was messed up. Dana posted a picture; it was pretty graphic. Man, I mean, first off, she should have been on the main card. Second off, she should have got a bonus. Third off, I'm fast tracking her to the top 15 immediately. Like, she is fucking the next big thing, guys. There's no doubt. Marcel, I know that you love this girl, so you can go ahead and first.
No, man. I mean, I didn't get it that they're giving her Victoria Leonardo, which is obviously like a showcase fight, and then you put her on the second prelim. That's like, dude, you know, if you want to build this girl up, you don't put her on the second prelim. Dude, Leonardo had nothing for her. Let's be honest. She was like levels above her. She had like 3-4 kicks to the head after each other, and Leonardo was already like holding back. And you saw, man, she was like damaged a lot, and it was a good stoppage by the referee, you know.
Yeah,
and
great stoppage.
So we talked about this last week, man. She went from Jasuda Vicious to Bleda to Leonardo, which should have been the other way around, pretty much. You know, it should have been from Leonardo to Bleda to Jasuda Vicious, you know. So she actually are fighting back to the thing, you know. understand. But yeah, I think somebody said Andrea Lee would be a good next fight. I like that actually. I think that's a good one.
And that's right. And Andrew is actually in the corner of Victoria, so that makes a lot of sense, right? It really does. Yeah,
that's perfect, And I mean, you can match her up pretty much with everybody between top 10, top 15. Probably they don't want to match her up with the other big talents they have there, but with some more established names, like for example, Andrea Lee is a good name. Maybe Viviane Araújo, who's also around there. But
I think she wins both those fights you just mentioned.
Yeah,
I really do. I absolutely think. I think she's top. I definitely think she's top 15 right now. She might be top 10.
And she's not just a striker; she's good on the ground as well.
That's what I'm saying. She's so like the Jasmine fight was mostly on the ground, right?
Yeah.
If I can remember. Alex, what do you think of this girl, man?
I think she should fight Tracy Cortez. Fuck it,
That's a pretty fucking good looking fight, man. That you just matched up.
I think, I mean, there are two prospects, two good looking women. Have them fight, and I think
where's Tracy? I mean, she's dealing with mental health issues, right? Like, is she even going to fight anytime soon, though? Like, that's the question, right? I don't know. I'm assuming that the breakup with Brian's been really hard or not. That's my guess. I mean, do Jennifer Maya. I mean, that's you know what? Jennifer looked really good. Someone just mentioned Casey O'Neill. I would give her the girl that beat Casey O'Neill, Jennifer Maya, right? Like, I wouldn't do Casey O'Neill. Casey's got to be built back up again. They have to build her back up because she's, again, marketable. And she came off that year-long layoff with that injury, and then they gave her a top 10 girl, and she got smoked. So, build her back up. You guys think Fiorot and Aaron? I mean, that fight makes sense. Aaron Blanchard he's talking about. Marcel, who are you supporting in Silva versus Ribas if they do that?
Next question.
Oh, you're... Oh man, they both remind me of each other, man. Like that cackle kind of thing they have going on there. Yeah, they're both great. 125-pound female division is really starting to heat up. Yeah, there's definitely some good prospects being developed for sure. Last fight here, guys, and I'm going to let Alex talk about this one a little bit because I know he interviewed Temba. So a few things about this fight. First off, Temba Guerrero gets the win over Takashi Sato. Unanimous decision. 11 minutes of control time, guys. His wrestling was pretty dominant. You also had that crazy knockdown. Was it the second round? I think it was second, right? Wasn't it? Yeah. Dude, like the fact that Sato even survived that was crazy. Like you were there, Alex. Like that was a fucking crazy knockdown, and like the guy just toughed it out. So credit to Sato, but he's definitely getting cut. There's no doubt. He's lost 4 straight fights. He's getting cut. He's 2-5 in the UFC. Sorry, but it's just not good enough, unfortunately. But for Temba, so a few thoughts are here. And I'm gonna let you talk, Alex, because I know you interviewed him, and it was a really good interview. I watched it this morning. So first off, I mean, you got to feel happy for this guy. I mean, like the fact he had $7, and even showed the bank account statement, like he had $7 his bank account, and now obviously, he doesn't. He won his win and show money. Maybe they'll give him a bonus on the side, possibly. You got to feel happy for this guy, The other thing that came out obviously was him sleeping on the floor of MMA Masters Gym and Colby Covington and Daniel Valverde feeding him and housing him basically. You got to give those guys credit too. They didn't have to do that, especially Colby. Everyone shits on this guy all the time, right? We all see it on social media constantly. Colby's the worst guy in the world. He's such a horrible person. Dude, we all know he's playing a character. And behind the scenes, from everything I've heard, he's actually a really fucking nice guy. So, like, yeah, I mean, when I heard that, it was actually kind of like heartwarming. You know what I mean? Like, it really was, because this is a very selfish sport. So for him to like help a guy out that he didn't have to do that, that's very nice for him to hear that. With Temba, obviously there's some breathing room in his bank account right now. I think he's going back to Africa to be with his family, if I'm not mistaken. I really hope that he's smart with his money. I mean, he didn't make a lot, guys. He's probably making 12 and 12. It's not a ton of money. Like, it's going to help him, obviously, and he'll get by the next little bit. But I just really hope he doesn't get down to the last $7, because he did say he has kids, and that's kind of, it always worries me and makes me sad when you got a guy with a family. It's not just a single guy. When it's a single fighter, it sucks, but it's like, okay, they're pursuing their passion, their dream. But when the guy has a family to feed too, it makes it really, really hard to hear. So really happy for this guy. I know he fought sick. I don't know if I like that, Alex. I'll be honest, like fighting with the flu. Not sure about that, but he needed to, because if he pulled out, he wouldn't have got paid a fucking dime. And they might have even cut him if they're like, hey, you're pulling out the day of the fight where you're cut, So he had to do what he had to do for his family, and I respect that, even though, hopefully he didn't get his opponent sick. Alex, I want you to take the floor on this one, man, because I know you interviewed him for like, what, an hour maybe? You talked to him in Vegas?
Yeah.
What's going on, man? Because first off, he called you out with your pick, but it wasn't even you. I think it was Jesse that picked, was it AJ Fletcher, right? He called you out. But by the way, man, dude, fucking boss move by not responding to him and doing it in private, because you knew that he was wrong and you didn't call him out on it, Alex. So much respect, my friend. Go ahead. I want you to
dude, after he said that, I was fucking like, I was in my mind. I was like, okay, I know because I wrote a big piece on him for his UFC debut, so I knew I wasn't going to pick against him. So I was like, where did he see this? Where did he see this? I went to Jason's house. I was like, where this? And then I texted him yesterday morning before the interview. I was like, all right, dude, well, where did you see this? He was like, it was on MMA Mania. And I was like, oh, my coworker picked against him, and he thought that I ran MMA Mania. And he told me in private, he's like, that really hurt my feelings. I was thinking about it for like 3 months because we had this really good connection, and then you picked against me like a day later. I was like, oh my God, you know what I'm saying? It's like, anyway, so man, the thing about this was like, he got this fight on like 5 weeks notice. He was about to fly back to Africa with no money. And he was texting Jason House, he's like, if you have a fight, please let me know. I'm going back to Africa. I don't know when I'll come back. And so they got him a fight with like 24 hours left on his visa, on his everything. So it was quite the thing, man. And it just, he has a crazy story. And I think, losing your UFC debut, like everyone just forgot about him, right? Like, and that's what happens. That's the negative thing about having so many cards, is that we're already going to forget about this card, and we already forgot about the fight card before this one. You know what I'm saying? Like, it just moves. It moves so quick that like you forget about these guys. But like this guy, he has a crazy story, man. And the reason why he was so broke is that he I actually posted the clip about it, but like he has a gym in Africa that he totally funds, and no one pays rent, no one pays for classes. He just funds it. So he was like, that's probably why I'm broke, because I'm funding this gym because I want to give back to Africa for these kids. So like, he has a good heart on him. He has a good personality. He finally showed like his fight style, right? So yesterday was my off day, right? So like, I usually just sit on my ass on Sundays, but like, I was just like, I felt like the need, like, like one of those things, I felt the need to go talk to him, and I'm really happy I did, because it really opened my eyes, and hopefully it kind of opened other people's eyes about him. So,
I mean, I didn't know much about him, honestly, like as far as like his personality and everything. Like, dude, I mean, if you look at the numbers, I was looking at like the views and stuff, like on the Junkie channel, like his interview crushed it. Like, people really liked hearing this guy's story. So just gotta give you credit, man, because you were one of the guys that was like really pursuing it. So, he seems like a good dude. Marcel, anything you want to say about Temba?
Yeah, I like Temba a lot, man. I mean, he's a super nice guy. Talk sometimes to him as well. He's like super friendly, and he's super how do you say that, motivated, and he really believes in himself. He's like, everything he says, you believe what he says. You know what I mean? Yep. He's so how do you say that?
Convincing?
You gotta give, convincing. What he says. So I was really happy to see him doing well. And good for him picking up his first UFC win. And let's see what's now going to happen. But it's always sad, dude. To see somebody only having $7 in his bank account. I think one guy in the media, and I don't know who it is, so I'm not going to call him out, but he said to Dana, "Isn't it beautiful to see a fighter having only $7 in his bank account?"
Who was that, Alex? They were saying like, this is a great sport. Like, these guys are making. Who was that, Alex? That
was MMA Weekly.
What is it? Is it Ken, or who is it? Do you know?
No, Kenny is MMA Junkie. It's Scott.
Okay.
Scott from MMA Weekly. Yeah, I know that. That was kind of it was just dumb, like, bro. Like,
I'm glad you said it.
Like, it is like, I've always said, like, this is my, like, fighter pay. It's a whole different. It's very controversial. I think personally, this is my personal opinion. I think if you're in the UFC, you should not have to work a second job.
Not at all, dude. It's crazy, dude. I've been doing podcasts, Alex, since 2011, saying this shit. So.
Dude, right? It's like you should be able to train full time,
100%,
to fight the best fighters in the world.
Bro, I've been saying this since I started covering the sport, dude. Like over a decade ago, I've been saying, like, and I mean, how can you disagree with me on this? If you have more time to focus on your training, you don't have to worry about working another job. Don't you think you'd become a better fighter too? Like, you'd have better fights, I think. I think that PFL, I believe they gave, I don't know if they're still doing it, but they were giving guys like a monthly stipend. Even if it's like $1,000 a month for some of these guys, like, it's not a lot for the UFC when you think. I mean, there's a lot of fighters in the roster, I get it, but like, that would help a lot of these guys out a lot too, So it's never going to happen though. UFC's never giving a monthly stipend. I'll tell you that right now.
I was like typing my recap, and I had the press on the background on my headphones, and then I was typing here. Dana, isn't it beautiful that guy only had $7 in his bank account? I was like, what did he really say that? Like,
maybe he phrased this question strangely, but yeah, I don't understand what the guy was asking. Anyways, overall, I mean, what did you think of the card, Marcel? Because I know you weren't too high on it going in, but I guess it exceeded your expectations a little bit.
I give it an 8 out of 10, and that's probably that you call that a B in America. I was already talking with Keith about it on his recap on Sherdog. I was like, your America's always with your A, B, C, and D's. I have no idea what it means, so I'm going with an 8 out of 10. I think it was a good card. I really enjoyed it. So yeah.
What do you think, Alex? Same kind of rating for you?
I think it's like a 7, like maybe like it's like a 6 or 7. Like the finishes are going to be what we remember from this card.
Yeah.
It was a fun watch on Saturday. You know what I'm saying? It was just like a card.
Yeah, I agree with you guys. I'd probably go I'll split the difference, 7.5. There we go. Just to be less controversial. All right, so that's UFC Vegas 73. Over and done with.
Whose stock dropped the most?
Oh yeah, that's the question. Marcus asks us this every week, and I love this question. I love it.
Me too.
So usually we pick whoever loses in the main event, especially if they get finished. But I don't think Angela's dropped that much. I would say Edmen's stock dropped again. I really do think so. Shotte's stock is way down. Marcel as well. And I mean, there's a few of them, right? There's some fighters are getting cut off this card. You're going to see the UFC roster watch or whatever. They're going to put the little red X and fighter removed Takashi Sato, fighter removed Victoria Leonardo. You're going to see that. Like I said, maybe the TV. I think Orion Costy probably gets released as well, unfortunately, because he missed weight as well. So yeah, I mean, overall, like you said, kind of some throwaway fights, but there were some good finishes, right? So you can't take away from that. But yeah, I'd say Edmen. What do you think, Marcel?
I wanted to say Amy Kaplan, but We're
going to talk about that in a second. I actually want to get Alex's thoughts because he was there. Alex. Do you want to answer the question quickly, Alex, and then we'll talk about the presser after?
Yeah, I'm going to say probably Michael Johnson just because of his run that he was on, and it was just a brutal knockout.
So bad.
That it's going to set him back a little bit.
How long was he on the floor for? Do you know?
I'm going to say it was a good minute and a half, 2 minutes, like out. Like he was out.
He was like stiff, right? Like
he was out. And like he finally, like even when he was up, like he couldn't get up to sit on the stool. Like it was a really bad knockout.
It sure was. All right, let's talk about the post-fight presser. So we'll talk about Nagano first because someone asked that, and we'll talk about the $100 thing after. Nagano, the whole thing with Dana. I mean, it was just fucking weird that Dana was like, I don't know much about it, and then went on a whole spiel about it for like 10 minutes after that. He's like, I don't have much information about this, but if you want to hear my opinion, and then went and really shit on Francis. I'm not surprised that Dana's reaction was like this. I mean, that's how he always is. He's obviously upset that Francis left. He rebuffed his offer. I talked about this on the podcast last week, Alex. I don't know if you heard it, but like for me, it's like I'm very happy for the guy because I'm not a jealous person, man. I'm someone that's just happy when I see people succeed in life, and like this dude has like one of the best stories of all time. I mean, what this guy's done in his life, and he actually finally had some leverage and fucking used it. And you have to appreciate that. Like, and I hope that other fighters will follow in his path. But when Dana comes out here and does this kind of tour where he's just shitting on people, that it kind of makes people think twice. It's just funny though, like you see all the clips now from 2 years ago when after Francis knocked out Stipe and Dana's like, oh, Jones better not take this fight, man. This is not the fight John Jones wants, and now it's the other way around because it's more convenient for Dana. So listen, I get he's promoter, he's got to do this, but like I don't know, man. I'm just happy for Francis, but yeah, what do you guys think? I'll start with you, Alex, since you were there.
I mean, it's Dana doing Dana. Like what? There was no fucking way Dana was gonna be like, oh, I really like this dude. You know what I'm saying? Like what do people expect? You know what I'm saying? Like he's gonna be like, oh, you know what? I think what he did was really good. You know what I'm saying? Like, of course Dana was gonna shit on it. Dana said. I mean, it was expected of him. The thing that like he ripped Robin Black, just destroyed Robin. It was just like what, and then when he he like buried PFL and Bellator, like saying like this company that sells no tickets is burning money, is going to buy a promotion that's buying tickets, not selling tickets and burning money. So it's just like, I mean, like so it was just Dana being Dana. I mean, it's just what do we like? That's why like when people tell me to ask Dana like obvious questions, I'm like, what do you think Dana's going to say?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not worth my time to ask him, be like, when you know exactly what he's going to say. You know, it's just like.
No, I completely agree. I was a little surprised by the Robin Black thing. So first off, I know Robin personally. I haven't seen him in a while but I don't know if he still lives in Toronto, but he obviously used to live here, and he might still live here. But anyways, the first I ever had was at the Score way back in the day. So like Aaron Bronstetter brought me in, and this is 2011, Alex. So I've been in this business for a while. And Aaron was the first guy I ever met, and Aaron was, we're still friends this day. And actually, I'm going to see him at 290. He was going to be there, but he introduced me to Robin, who worked there as well. And Robin was, he had some fights in MMA, and he was on TV, and he was, somewhat popular, and obviously not as popular as he is now. But like, I was a nobody, and like, Robin was so nice to me, man, and welcoming and inviting. And I always remember that stuff. I always remember that. So like, when Dana was shitting on him the other day, I was like, oh, that's too bad, because Robin is such a nice guy, and I understand, dude. Even ask him, like, he's got the mascara and the hair, and he still thinks he's with Robin Black in the intergalactic, what are they called? Intergalactic Superstars. He was in a rock band back in the 90s here. But he is such a nice guy, and I was a little surprised by that. But I saw the video after, and I he does have a big platform, right? That's the only thing, right? When you're media is I'm not scared to ask anything or say anything. But I know this is why people are afraid to talk sometimes, Alex and Marcel. Like, they're afraid to go on Twitter or even or on interview or whatever and talk negatively about anything UFC related, because this could happen, right? So it was a little weird. I want to talk to you guys about the $100 thing, because this is obviously really controversial.
I wasn't upset about it. I like people to succeed. So, I mean,
for
$100.
Oh, for the $100.
Just kidding.
So obviously we got Alex, who's I don't know, actually you're always with Amy. I don't know if you're friends or you're close to her. Or whatnot,
did you know the answer on the question, actually, Alex?
No, I was gonna guess. Who was I gonna? I was gonna guess like Aljo's
Jones.
No,
I was gonna say Jones. Like,
Aljo's coach. That's what I was gonna guess. But yeah, I think So I went to journalism school. I have a degree in journalism, so I understand the ethics of it. I understand like what people are attacking her for. But the thing was, like, it was a trivia question. You know what I'm saying? Like it wasn't like Dana saying like, post this. Here's $100, or like, thank you for coming to the UFC. Here's $100. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was a trivia question. So like, I don't see like, would I have taken the $100? I don't think so. But like, I think the people that are like up on their high horse are just kind of doing a little bit too much, like just dogpiling for a little bit too much. But I understand what they're saying. Like, I do like but then, like, I think McMahon even came out and said, like, dude, ethics and journalism are, especially in MMA journalism, are fucking, like, there is no fucking MMA journalism in MMA except for Bloody Elbow. You know what I'm saying? Like, so it's like, I just feel like people are just dogpiling because it's Amy, and because it's Dana, and you know what I'm saying? So like, I see what people are saying, but I don't think it was that big of a deal.
I want to hear your thoughts, Marcel.
Honestly, I don't give a shit. I mean, do you really think I'm gonna say anything bad about Amy here? You know my relationship with Amy, it's non-existent, and I don't care about it at all. You know what I mean? I never did anything bad to her, in my opinion. And if she feels that way, that's on her. But she unblocked me on Twitter, probably because she wants to send me messages if I do something wrong, to educate me. Well, she says I educate her. I never educated her. I just said what I thought. She replied back then on something which I said in public, but not even to her, And then last week, that thing with Oscar, that bullshit, I mean, whatever. I'm really, man, I don't give a shit about it. I also didn't listen. Many people from the media went after her for it as well yesterday. You didn't see me say anything about it. Only on this show, I said, like, I sold some things on Saturday here, and I made $100. That's the only thing I said, just for fun. But I don't care, man. I mean, she should do what she should do. And listen, man, keep far away from me, please. Thank you.
Yeah, Scott Fontana from New York Post really went off on her, guys. Yeah. There's no doubt about it. And I saw Mick Maynard.
The New York Post. Is like
sorry. Say it, Alex. Sorry.
I was going to say, which is funny because the New York Post has fantastic standards in journalism.
I saw Mick Maynard actually. I don't know if you saw that. He actually defended Amy. I don't know if you guys saw the UFC matchmaker. My thoughts on her. I went to journalism school, and one of the first things they tell you is like not to take like money or like they call it almost a bribe. I don't think it was. This case is a little different though. I feel like every situation is different. It's not like she wasn't being paid to cover the event. Like you said, asked a trivia question, and he stood up immediately and pulled $100 out of his wallet. Someone just stands up and gives you $100. You're gonna say like, no, I don't want it. Like
she should have said, "Close or fly."
The thing is, like, I just wouldn't have answered the question, so I wouldn't have put myself in the situation. I think that would be like you didn't answer it. That's the smartest thing, like to be like no, because I've seen this happen before, and I would have stayed out of it. I just think there's so much worse shit that goes on in MMA, but like the people they're not really getting upset about. Like Ariel Helwani used to get paid by the UFC. Like there's a whole article on Deadspin about it, guys. Like he was getting paid by the UFC to cover the UFC, and then obviously the Lesnar thing got fired. Like, and Ariel actually went off in Dana Way. He went scorched earth on it today. I saw the video on Jedi Goodwin's Twitter. He posted that there. So there's other stuff like and people taking money to or like travel and stuff and money to cover like events. I'm not saying any of it's right. It's really not. I just think this is not the worst thing I've seen. I just feel like there's way worse shit going on. So that's all I'll say. And like I said, Amy probably just shouldn't have answered the question. You know, but I just wonder, like, what would happen if it was someone that was a little bit more, I don't want to say, how was someone there that was like John Morgan answered the question? Someone's a little bit more well-respected. And
no one
would said shit, right? Probably. Yeah.
Not one fucking person would have said anything.
Yeah. They would be like, oh, that's awesome, John. You got $100. Well, you know, go buy some beer with it.
1,000%.
And to be fair, I mean, Amy, you know, she kind of digging herself a little bit of a hole, I think, with some of the responses. But the whole situation it's just, to me, it's a little bit overblown. She just shouldn't have answered the question. But again, like you said, Alex, like someone else answered it, maybe it's a different response, right? Like you said, 100%. Completely different. Hey, let's get some comments, guys, and we'll get out of here. I'll let Alex go. A few other comments, guys.
Maybe Alex doesn't even want to go, man. You let Alex go.
No, because we're going to do the second podcast, right? We have to do the fight announcements. But we'll just get some comments here, guys. Alex, man, we really appreciate having you, dude. You've been awesome and gave us really good insight because you were obviously there. So that's great. All right, let's get some comments here, guys. Dern and Tatiana. Tatiana's fighting Verna Jandiroba. And I think she fucking runs through Verna Jandiroba. Like, that fight is a setup fight. And we didn't even talk about her. I mean, like, if she wins, does she surpass, like, a yawn for the belt, the title shot? Maybe. I don't know. Maybe. She's been out for so long, right? Like, that's the thing. Like, she missed 4 years of her career. Like, it's a long fucking time. A couple of comments. Dana was 100%. Most people think the same way. PFL can afford. PFL, dude, I've been saying this. I think their first year was, I want to say it was 2019. I was like, Alex, there's no fucking way they're going to pay Sean O'Connell that $1 million for winning the tournament. And then they did pay him. And then they hired me their commentator after. They paid everyone their money. They paid everyone. The thing is, PFL has just like, they have, I think it's Peter Murray, Don Davis, these guys, like, they're really good fucking business people, dude. Like, they are good at convincing people to give them money. So is this true about Bellator? You guys know anything about this? Is there any?
I've heard that it's there's been conversations. I've heard that Bellator kind of overpriced themselves, and so that's kind of why they had so much money. But like Dana said in his interview, Don Davis is going to the Middle East for a reason, and I think he's going to try and get a fucking bunch of money to go buy Bellator.
Do you think they would fold Bellator into the PFL, or do they keep two different promotions going for a while? Or
I don't know. I don't know. Yeah. I would probably think they would probably merge them, but I don't know.
They just need more talent. That's why they're going. It's basically like when the UFC bought Strikeforce. It's kind of similar. They're trying to buy the talent, right?
I would think like maybe PFL would go more into like belt, like change their them, like buy Bellator and then make Bellator the bigger like
it could be. Bellator's a like more
established.
Yeah, it is, right? Because it's been around longer, quite frankly.
1,000%. And like, as much as I like the PFL season format because it's different, like it's just not MMA. Like the matchmaking is weird. You know what I'm saying? Like, and it's
there are
like,
still too many things that are not good. There are some fun things, but like I said, man, I think last year I keep giving this as an example. A guy who wins via knockout in the first round gets 6 points, only fights once, and the other guys who fight twice get the two win or one win, also by knockout in the first round, and and one loss with a loss. So they have 6 points all, I think. Oh no, I have to say, I should say differently. 2 guys had a knockout win and a loss, and the other guy had 2 decision wins. And the guys with the knockout wins went through to the tournament semis, and the guy with the 2 wins got out.
Their tiebreakers are a little strange. I agree with that.
And if someone breaks their hand, they're out. They're out of the tournament. You know what I'm saying?
It sucks.
So is it gonna? So it causes fighters to play it safe and not injure themselves. You know what I'm saying? Because they have to fight 4 times. So it's just a
lot of fights in a short period of time. Yeah. Marcus has a comment here. Hey, we're loving Dana White. Made some good points about PFL's business strategy. Bought a PFL ticket for June 8 in Atlanta. You going to that, Alex? You're going to be there? Yeah, you're there.
I'll be there for week 1. And Marcus isn't lying, bro. PFL does not sell tickets, and I don't know why. I don't know. It's fighting. I have no fucking idea. I've been to all of their events the last few years. They don't sell tickets.
That's cheap. I looked at the UFC. By the way, $290. It's like. If you want a first row, it's like 2,000, 5,000 or something. It's crazy.
It's
insane.
Bro.
What? Dude, and they'll sell out too. They will sell it out.
The UFC PFL should stop doing.
What?
PFL should stop doing putting heavyweight and women fight on the same night.
Heavyweights and women's lightweights. Yeah, that's really exciting.
No, I don't know what they. They're just not selling tickets, and people aren't tuning in. I don't know what Bellator. I don't know. And the thing is, PFL. They're going to small venues and they still can't sell out. So
but Alex, let's be honest, man. UFC has UFC on Twitter, UFC Europe, UFC France, UFC Asia, UFC NZAC. They have all those accounts who post every hour something, about upcoming cards. I see Bellator sometimes with 10 hours without posting. PFL also 10 hours without posting. I mean, they also don't push it enough, in my opinion. The social media game from the UFC. Listen, we shit on the UFC all the time, but the social media game is on point, man. But with the UFC, they even put the power slap bullshit in between. So I mean, you know what I mean?
It just shows how much of a gap there is between UFC and everything else, Absolutely. And it shows it's just fighting isn't. If it's not the UFC, people don't give a fuck about fighting, bro. It's not it's a live sports event. That has cheap tickets and no one wants to go. You know what I'm saying? Fighting, unless it's the UFC, no one gives a fuck.
Right. No, I mean, you can't disagree with that. Let's get some more comments here. Media and UAE events pay daily stipends. I'm not sure, but I mean, I could see that happening. I don't know about that, Galindo, possibly. Marcus comment, Affliction MMA overpaid fighters went out of business. PFL are going to pay Francis' opponent millions. Robin Box final rant with Francis' poor business strategy. Fair enough. Had a question about Nunes going the line for Menendez and Aldana. I don't know. I mean, I honestly I'm not sure about that fight yet. I still have to think about it. I really don't have any thoughts on it. I think that Aldana's a live dog. That's all I'll say about that one. All the Mexican fighters are doing really well right now, so she definitely can knock her Nunes out. Andrew, what's up, man? He says, I feel like the Lemos title fight is a warm for Zhang after the layoff. I think Dana wants to run the Yan fight in China for a big gate. Don't think he'll rest at the hands of Tatiana. You're probably right. I mean, I would assume Yan's next. PFL needs to move more people. It needs more people in the tournament, so winner moves on, loser goes home. I mean, isn't that what's going on? I mean, they get 2 fights, but the thing is, they brought guys. I mean, you saw the drug test. Half the fucking roster got suspended. So they got a bunch of new guys coming in. I think even what's his name, Andrew Sanchez. Yeah, former UFC fighter. He's in the tournament all of a sudden. So, what's up, Patrick? How's it going, man? He says way too many pull-ups in PFL cars. Well, it's all the drug tests, I think, for this season. Did the UFC hire Wagner Hosha? Is he back?
Back? I see it here, 40 plus. Yeah, UFC Roster Watch has it on him as fighter added, Wagner Hosha.
So Wagner used to be in the UFC. He was pretty bad, but I think he's been on a roll, right? If I'm not mistaken. He's won 7 of his last 8 fights. I mean, it's not bad.
He's 40 plus, man, and he hasn't fought since 2000.
Yeah, it's kind of weird, actually. He's fought 6 years. I just see that now. Yeah, that's okay. So it says he's been suspended by USADA. I see it on his but for grappling. Does that not count for UFC? Kind of
no
weird.
idea.
It says that he got popped, handed a 3-year suspension for IBJJF competition for refusing to submit to a drug test. I mean, that doesn't sound too good. This is weird, right? Is it legit then, Marcel, or no?
I don't know. He fought Cowboy in his debut, right? I think in Cowboy's debut.
So he had 4 fights in the UFC 2 stints.
Oh,
He lost to Cowboy, beat Cody Mackenzie, that guillotine guy. Lost to Brookins, lost to Jake Matthews.
Maybe it's a mistake on the actual UFC roster that they're doing.
Awesome.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
There's also there's also another guy on that roster who never fought in the UFC. What's his name? With a 12-7 record. I don't know his name anymore.
Who?
He's on the fan rankings. Let me check. A guy who never fought in the UFC. Welterweight. Help me out, guys.
I don't know. Like, who are you talking? Okay, let me go look at the fighters.
Of course I'm going to look now.
It's kind of like Mark Klimico wasn't on the UFC roster. He's fighting at the road to UFC, but they added him and removed him. So it could be something like, I don't know.
I saw that too. 12-7, Marcel, you said? At welterweight? Is that what you said?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
All right. So I don't see who. I don't know. Maybe I'm not seeing it.
Ricky Leggero Jr.
Who?
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
Was he on Contender?
I don't think so, man.
Let me take a look. Oh, he was Strikeforce guy. Was it because he had a Strikeforce contract? I don't know. That's old though. No, I don't know. That's weird. Anyways, some weird stuff with that. Like, you never know with the account. I mean, it's pretty accurate, but like you said, it's like an automated algorithm, right? So like, it could be wrong. Just a couple other comments here, guys. We'll let Alex go. Any day for Grasso and Val. I don't see it. I mean, these Mexican fighters talking about September 16th. It's like Mexican Independence Day or something. Like, it would make sense, but it would just be a fight night. Would they put Val and Grasso on a fight night? I don't think so. They used to do title fights on the fight nights.
It would be weird, because they are barely can fill the pay-per-view cards with some title fights, so it would be weird to do that, right?
Yeah.
Well, it's Sydney, September. They're not doing Abu Dhabi. And then MSG.
New York co-main event?
No, maybe the third title fight. Maybe they'll do 3 on that card. Possibly. They could do 3. I think that could be a co-main event. There's no way it's a headliner on a pay-per-view.
Right? Jones Stipe, Leon against Colby, and Grasso against Valentina.
That's a pretty fucking big card. That's a pretty damn big card.
It's the 30th anniversary as well, so why not?
And that too. That's the other thing. Yeah. I think, was it you that asked?
Yeah.
Of course it was Alex.
The Jinx. He's like, yeah, it's going to be a really shitty card.
Well, because I just don't know, like, if they're actually going to do, like, the MSG card on the 30th anniversary, or if they're just going to do, like, a big fight night, like they did last time, you know?
The last one was the 25th, and they did the Cowboy or the Zombie and Yair fight, right? Yeah, and Cowboy was against Mike Perry on that card. But I think it was actually on the day, and was it in Denver too? Did they go back to Denver for that card?
Yeah, they did.
Right, that's amazing. I mean, they won't do it this time, but Denver honestly deserves a pay-per-view. It does. It really, or another card at least. It's the birthplace of modern MMA in America. Anyways, I think that's pretty good for this show. Like I said, we're gonna do a quick show, Alex, just doing some fight announcements and stuff. But really wanted to say thank you, man, for joining us on short notice here, man, and really gave us some good insight into the card. I'll just let you guys plug your stuff out since you're a guest here. Just plug your things, man, and we'll get out of here.
Yeah, man. Thank you for having me. Anytime you want me back, absolutely. I'll be here, man. Alex Behunin on Twitter, Instagram. My byline is MMA Mania, and check out MMA Mania's social media. That's me.
Awesome, man. I appreciate it. All right, guys. So just to clue everyone in, we're gonna finish this podcast right now, and then we'll start a new one. Just do a quick, short, half-an-hour podcast, doing some fight announcements and some Q&A. Next week, we'll do the preview for UFC Vegas 74, Kai France versus Amir Albazi. And then the week after I think it's the Vancouver card, right? So it's moving fast, but we have an off week this week, guys, but still want to give you 2 podcasts as always. By the way, Alex, what are you going to do in your off week, man? You don't actually have anything to do now.
I'm going to Power Slap on Wednesday. I'm going to go watch, I'm going to go watch people get slapped, and then I'm going to fucking chill and do nothing for a week.
Good stuff. Chill with your dog, man. Right?
Yeah.
You got your little guy there. Marcel, anything you want to say before we get out of here?
Yeah, man. Alex, thank you for joining. Obviously, great. Always great to have you talking about MMA. You know, I really like you, so all good. And Adam, you also thank you, but you're always here, so it's pretty calm, right? Big Marcel 24 Twitter and Instagram.
Yeah, Adam Martin on Twitter, guys. All right, we'll talk to you guys in a sec. But if not, we'll see you next week. Take care. Peace.